Yo, this your boy DT from DT's Unfiltered Uncensored. The show that is streamed worldwide on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. And you can also find me on Instagram. All you have to do is search DT underscore unfiltered uncensored. Go to my bio. If you click that link, that will take you to all my information, how you can follow all my platforms, all my different channels I have out there. And also make sure you follow me on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube page. So today I got we're doing a special show because as you know, if you live in the state of Georgia and you haven't been on a rock for the last 3 to 4 months, you know it's the Georgia State playoffs for high school basketball. And now we're about to come up to the finals. So we're doing a preview to the finals of the Georgia high school basketball. And I got two great guests on my show today. Two guys who are very knowledgeable of everything that goes on in the state of Georgia when it comes to sports, and especially what we're talking about today, basketball. So first, I want to introduce my main man, a guy I've been following for a couple years, very knowledgeable, very entertaining. Love he speaks his mind. He don't bite his tongue, and I respect that. So I would like to welcome to my show, Joel Hillsman. Welcome to the show, man.
DT, man, appreciate you having me, man. Fun times. I know we did this a couple of weeks ago, so now that you got to play for the state title, it's fun to be back, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Well, I'm glad you joining me. And my second guest today, and also a very knowledgeable guy, one of the guys who started. Can I say it? What you started? Am I allowed to say it?
Everyone knows it ain't. Look, it
Okay.
ain't no secret. So put it out there.
Hey, the man who started Hoop Scenes one. If it wasn't because of him, there would not be a Hoop Scenes in the state of Georgia. So we're gonna say that right now. And he's the one who runs the baseline to sideline Twitter account. And like I said, I follow him. I read his stuff. He says a lot of knowledgeable things. And something he said yesterday, I agree with a lot, which we're gonna talk about on the show. I would like to welcome to the show Robert Alfonso. Welcome to the show, man.
DT, man, I appreciate you having me. Listen, I'm just honored to be on the same space with Joel, one of my better friends out here. But no, I'm excited to, I've seen a few of your things and some of the things you put out. So I know this is going to be top notch.
Okay, great, guys. Well, I'm glad we're going to get a chance to talk about this because to me, this weekend has been crazy. Yesterday, unfortunately, I didn't get to go to none of the games because I had an event to do last night, awards event to do, so I wasn't able to go to the games. But when I seen the results of some of the scores, I was really caught off guard. Before we jump into it, do y'all want to talk about how everything turned out yesterday before we jump into the previews of the game?
I'm with it, man. I'm with it. I mean, I know Alfonso, he was in all kind of gyms and everything. It was some good stuff to see, man. It was some very good stuff to see in the semifinals. It was some good stuff to see actually in the quarterfinals. A lot of people don't understand it was compressed, maybe for the second straight year, third straight year. So you had quarterfinals Tuesday and Wednesday, and then you had semifinals Friday and Saturday. So there were some good things that went on this past week. You saw a couple teams that made the Elite Eight that maybe you didn't think so. You saw a couple upsets in the semifinals. I think we've had a pretty good state tournament. I know you look at 6A, all of your number one seeds made. It was chalk, as they like to say, to the Elite Eight. So there were a lot of different things that stood out in all classifications over the last week, semifinals and previously the quarterfinals.
And a lot of things that what we got to see, a few things that I took umbrage and took note of is shot clock, continued, in terms of pace of play, scheduling, and understanding how to deal with adversity on the road or at home, and just being able to understand how to adjust in critical times down the stretch.
Right. So let's talk real quick about some of the. I want to ask y'all some of the biggest upsets in the state playoffs that you've seen thus far that you surprised they actually beat this team to advance. Who will be one of the first ones you would say, Joel, that you thought was a big upset that you didn't see, surprised that they won the game?
Um, I mean, to me, I think we were kind of free of major upsets, but I think a lot of people took notice of Green Forest losing yesterday to Charlton County. Charlton County, they've got three very good players. Two of them are sophomores. And a lot of people say, well, Green Forest has got the 7-footers, and a lot of people look at this. But, when you put eyes on Charlton County, it's a different kind of basketball. And I think Green Forest played defensively. They hit a shot with under 3 seconds to go, and then Charlton County drew up a play, and they went to their guy, and the bank was open in Valdosta, and those type of things happen. So I think that's probably the biggest upset that stands out to me through the course of the state tournament. Walton winning earlier over Lambert. They were a 4 seed, not really that big of a surprise of an upset. Kings Ridge, a 4 seed, but they were coming out of the toughest region. And you can see now they've got an all-region state final. So that's a little different. But no major upsets stand out to me. Even Cherokee, they came from the bottom left quad, which we kind of said was probably the weakest quad. But part of that is taking advantage of it. And then they pushed Norcross yesterday. They were advantageous. They hit free throws down the stretch. They didn't let Norcross get too far away, and they've advanced. So that probably could be one there. And other than that, a lot of 4s that beat 1s. The 4s were better. A lot of 3s that beat 2s. The 3s were better.
And I agree. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, I think a lot of for many people who have not seen Charlton County, and I'll be the first to say I haven't seen them as high school players in terms of with their high school teams. Now I have seen them on the travel circuit, and the pieces, most of them happen to be playing with South Georgia Elite. And I watched them play, and I'm like, man, I'm not surprised that they were ready to handle. And when I say handle, match up with a Green Forest squad who does have some 7-footers, who have some size. But this is the same team that they were scheduled to play the Boozer brothers at one of the events in Atlanta. It just drew a blank for Independent Hoops. I'm sorry. And the tip-off, and they were willing to play them, but scheduling and plans changed that. But they still ended up playing a lot of the other sneaker teams. And not only were they successful, they were winning. And it's a team that came in with plenty of confidence, run by Jordan McCray, former University of Tennessee product, who literally was telling me, hey, Fonz, we got some young kids here that really going to do something special. So I'm happy for them, happy for that community, because they showed what those kids have been working on, whether people have seen their high school team or not.
And they have a lot of athletes in Charlton County. That's Folkestone, Georgia, but that's South Georgia. So, basketball really doesn't come into play. But their point guard, Mr. Wright, that is a basketball player.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's jump into it. We're gonna start with 7A first. If you guys want to start, y'all want to start with 7A first?
Absolutely.
That's fine. Let's ride with it. That's the highest class, isn't it?
Okay. So what we got that's playing in the state finals, we have number 2 Cherokee, who finished right now 25-6 versus number 1 Wheeler 26-6. I'm gonna start with you first, Alfonso, on this one. What do you like about this matchup?
Well, well, first of all, the thing that I'm going to enjoy the most is that, yes, they're accustomed to playing against each other. This will be the 4th time they're playing against each other. So familiarity is something that they both will have. There won't be any secrets. There won't be any surprises. They will each know what the other does. It's we could use all the cliches in the world. It'll be a chess match. It'll be this and that. One thing that I do like is Wheeler has been there before and their experience, but I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of support, which Warrior Nation seems to be a thing. And I've only experienced it twice. One seeing them last year as a group at Cherokee, and being on their campus and watching them play at Sam Allen's event up in Cherokee County, but also being able to see them last night or yesterday afternoon. They were fantastic at Georgia State. So that's going to play a factor because a lot of people almost anticipate Wheeler being there, and so right now Cherokee's playing with house money, as we like to say, and they don't have anything to lose and everything to gain. And I'm sure coach is going to have them prepared. I'm sure them kids are not going to look at Wheeler and be overtly intimidated. Again, they may be 0-3 against them this year, but as they say, sometimes it's hard to beat a team 4 times. And I know just based on how the Warriors played and their guard play, they're going to give it everything they have. But I just have a strong feeling, a lot of depth and size, and the number 1 player in the country with Isaiah Collier on Wheeler may end up going to the Wildcat side.
Joel?
Nine, 16, and 30. That's what Wheeler has beaten Cherokee by. Good story. And Fonzo is right. I've gotten to experience Warrior Nation a couple times, called a couple games over there, have gone to see them on the road. They travel very well, and they were in Georgia State yesterday, and they're going to be in Macon on Saturday as well. If we are going to do fan attendance, Cherokee wins. Unfortunately, fans will not be between the lines. Wheeler is too big, too fast, too strong, too good. Cherokee is going to compete, though, and they're going to take things from earlier in the season when they lost by 9 and Wheeler was just getting back off of the road and they pushed them a little bit. They play very well. They run good sets. They're a very fundamentally sound team. They can score in certain situations, inside, outside. They share the ball well. They execute very good. One of the things I told Alfonso yesterday, they're executing very well late in the shot clock. And they made Norcross's defense work deep into the shot clock, which was advantageous because of the fatigue factor and the defensive factor. And Norcross had a couple of players foul out, maybe not always because of that, but it had a determining factor. Wheeler's just too much. I think Cherokee will come out, hit a couple threes. It'll be a good first quarter. It'll stretch out in the second quarter. They'll come out in the third quarter and play tough. And then about that 5-minute mark of that third quarter, it's what I like to call separation season. Wheeler's just too good. Wheeler's too good. Great job of Cherokee getting back there. Coach Joe V has done an absolutely wonderful job. This is his first head coaching job, by the way. Second season, and he's got him in the Final Four. He's got him in the state finals for the first time since 1982. But it's just too much Wheeler. Now, you want to talk about upsets. That would be a monumental upset. But we did see this happen last year in 7A where Berkmar had won the 3 previous meetings and Norcross won. So it can happen. And then Norcross had won the previous 3 meetings against Meadow Creek a couple of years ago, and Meadow Creek won. So we have seen that. But just in this case, I just think Wheeler is too good. And what Wheeler has had to go through the last 2 games without their head coach, they're not going to let their head coach down now.
Well, and they've been playing for a purpose. Yes. They've had some tragedy, unfortunately, at the beginning of the year. Nothing that in terms of anyone on the team, but it impacted everyone on the team, including Coach Thompson. And they've been living on the mantra, live like Khalil, who passed away earlier this year. So those kids know that they're playing for a purpose. And then watching them yesterday prior to warming up, those kids were locked in. The stage was not too big because they're accustomed to it. I mean, they've played all over the country. They've scheduled well. As someone said, they didn't have a chance to enjoy themselves and continue winning because they had such a front-loaded schedule. You know, they would
Yes.
play a game. Then before they could really enjoy it or get on a roll, they had to hit the road. And as we all know, the more you're on the road means less time you're in the gym, working on your game, getting some camaraderie going, and getting a feel. And even yesterday, when they played against Grayson, there was moments that you could see some lull in their game, but it's never once were they panicked, never once were they saying, "Hey, we're not going to be able to get through this." They just continued chopping wood and playing the Wheeler brand of basketball that we're all accustomed to seeing.
Fonzo, let me back you up on that. But at the same time, they played what you can closely mirror is a collegiate schedule. And the preparation for the next level, that means traveling. And good programs find ways to have gyms where they can work out here and there. And then that traveling, the camaraderie is bonded. So you're right. They didn't get to enjoy a lot of that. But the fruits of the labors are now here because no one in Georgia has beaten them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because all the losses came from out of state, correct?
Out of
Yes,
state,
and
all were top 15 teams when they lost to them. So
and we even said it, you know, sitting courtside. Yeah, and sitting courtside, we said it. It's like the one team in Georgia we felt, and again, this is no disrespect to Cherokee, that we felt that could beat them, you know, would be the team they were playing was Grayson. You know, and again, that's no disrespect in any way, but it's just the numbers are the numbers, and right now we know what Wheeler's capable of doing.
Look, they beat Newton near the end of the regular season. They beat McEachern in the state tournament. They beat Grayson. They've beaten the teams that are up there. Now, they haven't played Eagles Landing, haven't played Kale, but they're above those two teams as good as they are. So, you know, the one team that could have beaten them was Grayson. And, you know, like you said, no disrespect to anybody else, not even Norcross. It's just Wheeler is and has been the best team in this state since October, regardless.
Absolutely.
And that's just the basketball of it.
Right.
And if you don't believe me, if Wheeler was not that good, how many teams, DT, do you know lose their coach deep into the state playoffs and then don't even win that next game? Not only did they win one, they won two without their head coach. That's a testament to what goes on every day in that gym, the work, the preparation that they put in, and the program building. And that's a testament to the leader in Larry Thompson.
And those weren't just regular games. They were two top 10 teams that can be found on the Hillsman Heavy. You know, so we know what those teams were about. And everyone in the state was not only impressed, but surprised at the way they were able to do it. And that's a salute to not only Coach Thompson and the way he helps prepare his players and that staff, but also to Coach Shepard, who stepped in magnificently and led those young men to two games that now he can hand the keys back to the Maserati to Coach Thompson and tell him to go drive this down to Macon so they could go get what they've been seeking all season.
Yeah, good point.
So my last question before we jump to 6A. What's your prediction of the final score?
I'm not going to put a number to it.
Okay, yeah, I'm not going to do that
because the reason I'll be honest with you, the reason I don't like putting numbers to it when it comes to high school basketball, because we're dealing with teenagers.
Okay, got you.
You know, and I mean, I could sit here and say, you know, who I feel is comfortable and who I think could win, which I believe, again, when you look at everything on paper, when you watch film, as Joel and I have had a chance to watch with their previous games, there's just so many different pieces that Wheeler has that I don't know, and I don't think Cherokee has enough to counter with, you know, because it's punch, counter punch. And sometimes there's a lot more combos coming from Wheeler side than there are from Cherokee side right now.
Let me ask this question instead. Do you think it's going to be a close game?
Define close. 5 points or less?
Yes.
No.
No.
Okay. That's good enough. That's we're gonna go with that. So that's what I want to. Okay, let's move on to 6A, which I'm very disappointed one of my teams are not in this. We got number 1 Lee County versus number 1 Alexander. Lee County is right now 28-3. Alexander is 26-5. Unfortunately, my boys from Lanier did not finish strong and make it to the state playoffs. What do y'all feel about this matchup? I'll start off with you first, Joel, on this one.
Wait, well, now we're gonna go back to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you thought Lanier was you said your boy at this point that but you thought they was gonna win 6A or at least get to the finals, or you just thought they would win Lee
I'm
County?
gonna tell you this. I'm always been a huge fan of Mayweather. I always watch
Mayweather
him
does a good job.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan, and so I always supported him when I watched him over the years, and I would just like to see them make. I was hoping it was going to make it to the state playoffs, so the final will make it to the state championship game.
Okay, well they made it to the Final Four, but Lee County had something for them, man. And games that end on free throws, they're always, but that's just how it was. Lee County, and the thing that is very, very impressive about Lee County, they're senior heavy, but they're sophomore heavy. So those sophomores next year are going to be juniors, and they're going to have a good graded curve of experience. Josiah Parker played very well, lengthy, shows his versatility, rebounds well, puts it on the floor well, passes it well, protects it. DJ Taylor, aggressive. They've got multiple pieces there that will make this interesting, and they've got multiple pieces that can cause foul trouble. And I think that is going to be one of the keys. They've got 3 or 4 bodies in there. Hardwick is one, Skinner is one, Parker is one. And if you watch Dutchtown and Kale in that Elite 8 game, Dutchtown has similar type of bodies, maybe even more athletic and taller guys. They were able to throw different bodies and things at them, and they were in that game into the fourth quarter. So it'll be very interesting to see how Coach Davis and Lee County, how they use the bodies. But that might not be the main concern right now, because CJ Brown has had a coming out party the last 2 games, and he put his stamp on this stuff. Last time I got a call today, Fonzo, West Georgia is replacing the rim. It is damaged.
Listen, I'm not surprised, because since the summertime, CJ Brown has been putting on an exhibition, a show, to say the least. I mean, he has certainly not only elevated himself as one of the top players in the state, regardless of class, but truly has elevated himself into the national conversation with many college coaches who will certainly be on that young man's trail this summer.
But y'all didn't stop me. I'm thinking Kale. Why y'all let me keep going?
Yeah, listen, I was trying.
No, you let me keep going.
Yeah, I know, and it was Alexander we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah, which they got the bodies too.
Yes, they got length.
They throw at Braden Lou.
Yes, they got length.
Alexander's they're gonna let me know about that. They don't feel disrespect about that.
They're gonna feel some kind of way about it. But I really want to get back to, let's take even a deeper dive, as I know you'll talk about Alexander, even hear some more. We'll take a deeper dive into Lee County. And Coach Kervin Davis, had a chance to speak to him this morning. And, I caught him in a situation that you find interesting, because usually every coach and every program, after they play a championship game, win or lose, they find a way to decompress. He happened to be mowing his lawn, decompressing. So, he still had his duties as a homeowner, as a husband, to take care of the lawn. And he's like, man, I'm just trying to really enjoy it. But in the 10 years there, he's been able to put together a solid program where you mentioned, Joel, that he's got some depth. He's got some seniors. He has truly a group of young men that'll keep coming through. And here's the thing which I found interesting. The last 3 to 4 years, he's lost a total of 7 to 8 seniors per year. So 2 years ago, when they played against Kell in the Final Four. All right.
That's why I was.
Yeah. They graduated 7 to 8 guys. Then last year they graduated another 7 to 8 guys. This year he just so happens to have about six seniors, and as you mentioned, about 7 sophomores who are just as much the heavy lifters as the seniors are. And what's interesting is that the group of guys that are seniors now, they were sophomores when they had to play Kell 2 years ago against Scoot Henderson and that Kell crew. So ironically, if Scoot had not opted to go to the G League, he would be in this game as well. So they would have some obviously familiarity with their opponent. They do, just because they've known them, but both teams are extremely different.
So you just did it again.
I know. And listen, if they were in the same classification, let me finish my thought here. But one thing that you mentioned DJ Taylor.
Yes.
Coach Davis said to me, he's leading the country in assists. And of course, I didn't go look for it, but I was like this, the country, that's a lot of people, so when he told me he's averaging about since the end of region play, 12.4 assists. I said, if nothing else, since the end of region play, so we're talking about
okay, gotcha.
From the regular season all the way to the region tournament, to the end of the final game of the region tournament, he entered the state tournament averaging 12 assists per game.
Okay.
12.4 assists, which I was like this, regardless of whether it leads the country or not, that's impressive. That's an impressive stat, because sometimes you have point guards who are only about maybe 7 to 8 assists per game. And for him to average 12 and really be locked in on making sure everyone else is fed well. And like Coach Davis even mentioned to me, you don't have just one player that you can lock in if you're going to play Lee County. You're going to have multiple people. And I asked him, I said, what was his biggest concern, playing a team like Lanier yesterday? And he was concerned with the length, but one thing that my friend Joel here likes to truly put out there, he made sure to schedule in a way that it would help him understand how to deal with that. And throughout the year, they played that. They've only lost 3 games. And as he said, they lost in thirds. So they rattled off 2 games, 2-game wins. Then they lost in the first week of December to Monroe. Then they went on a lengthy winning streak, and then they didn't lose again until the first week of January against Sumter on January 7th. And then they went on another streak and didn't lose again until the first week of, February, which was against Tifton County on February 4th. So they have this, he said when he realized his team was capable of getting to this point was around Christmas time. They hosted their own tournament. They had some teams from varying styles come up or go down to play, as well as come up from Florida to play. And he was able to find different ways for his team to be successful and ironically win their own tournament. He didn't schedule it that way for them to only win, because they had Savannah, they had a team out of Florida, they had a few different teams there with contrasting styles that allowed them to see different things throughout that they were going to see this year. And you talk about Christian Brown, you talk about Harrison Skinner, Caden King, that they call the baby bird man. So many different pieces when it comes to Lee County that, I just feel that they are a team that is going to look at this trip now to the finals against Alexander differently than when they went 2 years ago in the Final Four against Kell. And my question to Coach Davis was, what's the difference? And he even admitted, he said, man, sometimes as coaches, we may tell our players, we may be overly, how would I say, overly energetic against, and our energy transfers to those kids. Our energy transfers to the kids, and trying to make sure that so I got to be a little bit more in control with my emotions and not be too high, but as well not be too low, and try to enjoy all of this. But it's going to be an interesting one, because I know Coach Slade is going to have them ready down at Alexander and ready to go down there with Brandon Liu and Melson. So, Joel, I know you got plenty to say about them.
Well, now I'm just going to go back to what you were saying about Lee County very quickly. And in those 3 losses, Monroe, Sumter, and Tiff, remember, they played them twice. They split with Sumter County and Tiff. All 3 of those teams made the playoffs. So the scheduling was very well. I would have liked to seen it be a tad bit better, but that's another conversation. 2 wins over Doherty, a win over Tiff, a win over Baldwin, a win over Sumter County, a win over Hillgrove. Those were their quality wins outside of the region. And the Hillgrove game is important. And I say this all the time. Leesburg to Powder Springs. So when they had to get on the bus and go to Carrollton, it wasn't something brand new. They didn't travel a lot, but they weren't getting on the bus for the first time for 2 and 3 hours for the first time. We've seen some teams that had to go on the road, and 45 minutes was the furthest they went. They maybe went an hour and 12, but when they had to go 2.5, 3 hours for the first time in state, they came back with some L's because they hadn't did that in the season. So I'm gonna give them very good credit for that, because Doherty was a very good basketball team. We've seen them. Tiff was good. Baldwin was good. Sumter County was good. Hillgrove was good. Monroe, Albany, who they lost to, those were very good teams. That was all state tournament caliber teams. So I really like how Coach Davis did that. And then to piggyback off of what you said also, when I watched the film today, hard work. It wasn't always perfect on offense, but 50-50 balls, and Usami Kumar, double guy, got in foul trouble. They were able to play around that, so it's going to be very interesting. Alexander, they're going to shoot the 3 ball, and I'm really interested to see how they're going to shoot the 3 ball in the Macon Coliseum. A lot of people feel a certain way about that's not a shooter's gym. Hey, I want to see if they're going to shoot it, because they're going to shoot it, and I want to see if they shoot it around 35 to 37%, which, you want to be shooting about 40% sometimes. But if they're shooting 35 to 37%, they're doing pretty good. But is Lou going to be dominant, and is he going to be able to handle multiple bodies again? Maybe not the comparison I was making earlier when I had my matchups crossed up, but they have enough to throw at Lou. But Lou is such a dynamic factor. McGee has played well. Melson has played well. Nelson has played well. And the freshman has came off Gunston and played very well. Big shot out Jonesboro. Will Alexander be able to settle down and play their style of game? And if they rely on the 3 ball too much, because I've seen them this season go a whole half without a 2-point field goal, will they continue to go with that, or will they work Lou left block, right block, come high post? Will they run some actions where they get easy buckets to try and get points on the board if they're struggling from beyond the arc, and counter whatever Lee may throw at them? That will be what I watch in that ball game.
So, who y'all have winning the game?
You hell bent on these predictions, aren't you?
No, I'm just saying who win. I'm just who you think go win, and is it gonna be a close game? That's the question.
I think Alexander is probably the better basketball team, but Lee County may be a little bit more tougher. And if they're a little more tougher in the last 3 minutes of the ball game, they'll have a good opportunity to win as well.
I agree. I agree with that. One thing that, again, it goes back to Alexander. For many, are not a surprise that they're there.
No,
there's a lot of people that are going to look like, hey, you know what? They have the talent. They have the pieces. They also have a solid coach in Coach Slade, who picked up career win number 500, through in this journey and this run to the state final. So getting 500 wins is not easy, and being able to do it in the second largest classification in the state is equally as impressive. So I feel that while Lee County has put mustered together, and I'm not a superstitious guy, but they're not playing this game in the first week of March anymore. So we're going into the second week here, and they have a chance. Again, based on what I've seen on their record, Lee County could pull off the upset, but in the edge, I'm going to have to give it to Alexander, and that's because I've seen him with my own eyes. Again, no disrespect to Lee County. I wish I could get to South Georgia a lot more, but just from what I know, from what I've seen, there's a lot of depth going on with Alexander.
Gotcha. So listening to what y'all saying, it's like it was going to be a close game.
It could be. It really could be, because
it very well could be. I mean, just look at what both of them have done in games decided by 5 points or less, and look at what Lee just did this weekend by winning a close ball game. And the other thing with Lee, and this is why I bring out the 3-point shooting with Alexander, 18 ball games, Lee has held their opponent to under 50 points. 18 ball games.
So let's move on to 5A. We have number 1 Eagles Landing, which is 29-1 versus number 1 Kale, who is 27-2. This looking like it will be an exciting, competitive game right here. And Joel laughing. But I'm gonna start with Robert on this one. So tell me. Give me the preview to this, the key matchup, coach. What you think about this matchup?
Speed and size. And again, Kel has the largest human being in the state, in Peyton Marshall. Especially in high school basketball, the young man's been great. You have the guard play with Cologne and CJ Brown for Kel, that they're gonna be tested by Eagles Landing's pressure defense, and being able to run up and down the floor and just, fitness, and being able to be the best conditioned team on a larger court down in Macon, and understanding how to utilize. And I just feel that right now, Kel would be there's some advantages because they've had to play without Peyton Marshall, at times, when whether it's foul trouble or just being a different pace of game. And then there's also the fact that scrappy Eagles Landing, they've played a solid schedule, they've played competitively, and no matter where they play at, their defense travels with them.
Joel?
I really like this matchup. This is a matchup that, no disrespect to anybody else in 5A, this was a matchup you saw kind of growing back in July, and now it's there. And this matchup is going to give you a little bit of everything. And I think Alfonso summed it up well with speed and size. But for everything that Kale can throw at Eagles Landing can throw at Kale, and maybe a little more. This game is going to come down to who executes the best in transition, but also in the half court in the last 4 minutes of the contest. Here's why. Foul count, fatigue, and flow of game is going to dictate who's able to do this. If it turns into the David Thomas, CJ Brown show in the last 4 minutes, there's not going to be enough popcorn in the Macon Coliseum. There is not going to be. Clark Maxson is engineering that offense very well, doesn't have the high volume numbers, but does the intangibles and impacts the game. He plays very well. I know a lot of people don't talk about him. I know a lot of people wanted him to be talked about more. He's talked about right where he is. He was the difference for Eagles Landing this season because of being a true point guard that Coach Elliott Montgomery can come in, groom, and not have to worry about the etc. That's why. So when you look up and he's only got 2 points and 8 rebounds and 7 assists, he's not doing anything. No, he's doing exactly what he's being asked to do and defend. It'll be very good to see how he defends on Cologne. It will be very good to see how Eagles Landing closes out and on 3-point shooters and protects the 3-point line. And it will be very important to see if they go a little deeper in the bench than what you've seen for spot duty with bodies on doubles and helps. Just interesting to see if they do that. I don't know if they are. Kenny Brayboy can hold his own. McKinney can hold his own. Chris Morris is going to hustle. Eagles Landing has everything that Kale can throw at them, and Kale has some better. It's going to be very interesting to see, but I think fatigue will be a factor in this game in the late stages of the game, 4 minutes, and if it is, advantage Eagles Landing.
But if they go to a half court set and they're able to get the big fella in the game when the game has, when I say slow down, not going at full speed, and they're able to, and again, he can get up the floor, but it's going to be a different kind of pace. That
if he's had spot duty rest,
sure, absolutely, and
like he rested the other day in foul trouble, and that's the most he sat on the bench in a game. Mm-hmm. But if he's up to 26, 27, 28 minutes, that's an advantage to Eagles Landing. I'm sorry, and y'all know I love Peyton. He can't be tired down the stretch, or you do have to slow it down. That's what I mean.
Absolutely.
So from listening to y'all, what y'all keys to both teams, it seemed like this possibly could be a very close, tight game as well.
I'll be honest with you. The key to this game is going to be the shooting. We know Macon Coliseum, the depth is not made for shooters. It's not made for any, let me rephrase that, not for any good shooter, but it's just you got to get adjusted to it. And sometimes 32 minutes is not enough time to get adjusted to something like that when you're accustomed to shooting the ball in the high school setting. And that's what it's going to come down to it. And that's for both teams. There's a little bit more shooters on Kel, but this is for both teams, that this is going to come down to that. And whoever, like Joe mentioned, whoever executes and minimizes its turnovers late in the game certainly is going to pull out victorious.
And the other thing about it is, they played on college campuses that are basketball facilities, and Macon does a good job, good city and all of that. The Coliseum just isn't a basketball facility. You can play basketball in it, but it's not a basketball facility, which is why routinely you see teams in the state championship, the shooting percentages go down.
Gotcha. So now asking for a prediction.
I'm gonna take Kel.
Okay.
He went with Eagles Landing.
Well, I think it's going to be a close game. I think both teams can win. I think it would be a game decided by 5 points or less. I'm leaning Eagles Landing though. This team is just they do everything needed to win a ball game. Their only loss came on a box out where they didn't get a box out and it was tipped in by Dutchtown at the Horn. That's their only loss.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So they've been able, their schedule, they played fundamental teams. They played fast-paced teams. They played slow teams. They played mid teams. They played tough teams. They played tall teams. They played short teams. They have played some of everybody of quality. This is not going to be any different. And as much as I love Peyton, this is going to be his biggest test. This is going to be Kale's biggest test. And Jaden can shoot the ball, and CJ can shoot the ball. Eagles Landing, I think, is just they're just a notch better than Kale. And if I'm wrong, fine. But I just no. Eagles Landing in this one.
Okay. Let's move on down to 4A. We have number 2 Pace Academy, 24-7 versus number 1 Fayette County, 27-5. And we're gonna start with you on this, Joel. What's the key matchup? coaching? What's the advantages in this game, and who you think got the edge?
The key matchup in this game is Andre Flynn of Fayette County and Sharman White of Pace Academy. That is the key matchup. Sharman going for his 10th, Flynn going for his first. This is not his first rodeo, but how they match wits, that is going to be the best part of the 4A game. How do they match wits? How do they change things? How do they work the officials? This will be the best ball game of the entire weekend of all of the GHSA state championships on the boys' side, because this right here is where I know I've been here a lot and I haven't won. And if I beat you, I got you. And then on the other side, I'm not going to let you get your first one against me. This is going to be an epic coaching battle. Player side, RJ Kennedy for Fayette County can do it. I'm sorry. They don't talk about him enough. I know y'all don't like him. I don't know why. He give you the business. Sorry. I don't mean to offend you, but y'all just don't watch basketball. RJ Kennedy can do it on all, what do you like to say, all 3 levels? No, he does it in a variety of ways all over the basketball court. And then guess what? Sophomore Shan Van Dorn, Keith Gillespie, they just hang out on them wings, pop those threes, put it on the floor. Then you got Toby doing the big work. Fayette County is good, but man, that Pace Academy team, pretty good, man. They came out of that region with that other team that you believed in. Pace is very good. Chatfield does a very good job. Green does a very good job. LJ Moore versus Toby G. That's going to be a fun matchup as well. But I'm more interested in how White guards Kennedy and how Flynn keeps Kennedy in advantageous positions, especially on the wings.
And Joel, you said it best, because when I looked at this matchup and I saw that they both won, I said, it's almost like we're having a chess match on the basketball court. You know,
Yes.
Each of them going to have their own pieces. Each of them going to have their dominating king, their dominating player, their dominating athlete. And you mentioned RJ Kennedy, who's one of my favorite players around. People
They don't talk about him enough, Lonzo.
No,
and I don't know
they
why.
Don't. No, they don't. And the kid is a great young
Probably
man.
hadn't seen him. That's probably why.
Absolutely. And then, but when you talk about it, you mentioned some great names in Green and Chatfield. But the one person, and LJ Moore, but the one person that was intriguing to me when I had a chance to see Pace this year was Chandler Bing, the 6'5" sophomore. He really brings in some stuff, and he really bangs. And again, being part of this Pace team that had some adversity at the beginning of the year, and this team came together. They literally circled the wagons, as as it said, cliche wise, but they locked in and they bought into believing in each other. And the one thing, once they lost in the region tournament, because while every team has that on their wish list at the start of the season, let me go get the region tournament, sometimes you don't win it because the big goal is down in Macon and getting the ring. And I think those kids decided to lock in, get stronger defensively at the start of this region, start of the state tournament. And no team has scored more than 49 points other than Westover, who scored the highest total amount of points against them so far in this run. So looking forward to seeing what this matchup is going to be, not only just with the players, but especially the two coaches.
And the two coaches are great, but they each have just as sound coaching staffs.
Absolutely.
Both staffs are very well. This game is going to be very, very good. And I just like what Pace is able to do, pull it back. They can work clock. They can push. They don't give up. And Fayette County got pushed against Bainbridge. And Bainbridge had a big, fat 18-5, 18-6 run in there. And I really thought that Fayette thought that Bainbridge was going to lay down, but they didn't. And I think that test kind of woke them up. They put wood on Woodland. They put wood on Benedict. And they have been by far. And I'll admit, I slighted them during the season as far as were they heavy enough. No, they're heavy enough. That team has been there. Flynn has been there. He has the resume. He just doesn't have the ring. And this matchup is just this is one where you just sit back and enjoy. And I expect this to be tick for tack. You did this, I did that, I'm gonna do this. Oh, you did that. Okay, watch this all game long.
And Flynn picked up his 500th win, or milestone, his 500th win as well.
Yes.
In this run. So again, he has the resume, as you mentioned. Both of these guys are class acts. They're great coaches, but they're class individual men who I'm going to look forward to watching this game.
Yeah, and Flynn, this is his second championship game in 3 years. So, it's nothing new. He's been to a lot of Final Fours too, six, 7 in the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, did y'all? I'm sorry, I was listening, but I didn't hear if you said who you think is going to take this.
I think defense travels. Defense travels well, and I'm just going to go with Pace, and Coach White is going to get one for the thumb.
Gotcha.
I love Sharm. Sharm does an absolutely great job. I love Coach Flynn, and he does an absolutely good job. It's time. Flynn gets this one because everybody thought he was going to get it with Caleb Banks. If Caleb Banks doesn't get hurt and sit out them couple of minutes, that's a different story. But R.J. Kennedy is going to remind you that Coach Flynn, I got him one. I think Fayette's going to win this one. Again, it will be decided by 5 points or less. I would be shocked if it's anything more than that.
Absolutely.
But Joel, you did say this is going to be the most exciting game thus far out of all the games so far.
Yes, and I don't mean that from the casual fan standpoint. I mean that from the basketball standpoint. The picks, the sets, the screens, the options, the counters, the adjustments. That's what I mean. Now, if you're looking for dunks and high flying and hooping and hollering, you might get some of that. But from the basketball that you look at for the next level, the off screen, the ball screen, yes, not even fundamentals, the basketball in it.
Okay.
It might look like a great dunk, but something set that dunk up. That's what I mean by one of the best games. The coaching will have a very, very good impact on this. And both coaches are known to put players in positions to succeed. And they've done it time and time in their careers. And there's going to be some jostling and some strategy that is just going to be outstanding in this ballgame.
Gotcha.
And Fayette County is underrated, and a lot of people didn't talk about them, and that's unfortunate. But they're going to have to talk about them. I like Pace. I don't like picking these games, but I'm just leaning toward Flynn because they've done such a good job. And listen, Fayette County has 5 bad losses. Well, okay, Sandy Creek, they lost to twice. I can't say that's bad. They got 3 other losses in there. They had no business losing. And I think Coach Flynn and his staff has used that to fuel them. Like, remember, you guys still lost this game when you weren't supposed to. So this is going to be a very, very good game between Pace and Fayette County. Very good game.
All right, so we're going to move down to 3A, which is going to be very interesting discussion because it's a rematch in a way. And we'll get to that in a second.
It's a rematch in a lot of ways.
We got number 2 City Grove 20-9 versus number 1 Sandy Creek 24-6. And why I say this is a rematch, and me and Joel talked about it before we went live, is they
I forgot about it. I wasn't even thinking about it.
They went against each other in the state football championship. And
now,
I don't know.
Hold the phone right there, DT. Hold the phone right there. Robert, do you remember what happened in that Sandy Creek Cedar Grove football championship?
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's the reason why they're moving the game back to the Benz, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to try to behave myself.
What I told Joel, for everybody that listens, I'm hoping that ref is not reffing this game down in Macon.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great because
no.
That'd be great that he's not reffing. All right, let me go ahead and say that.
Because I mean, you got football and basketball refs that, but yeah,
exactly. That's what I said. That'd be great that he isn't.
All I'm going to safely say is be careful with foot on the line threes. That's
Yes.
a foot on the line twos, because a
Yes.
foot on the line two, it could be a three. It's a rematch. It's a football rematch, but then it's also the fourth time these teams have played this season. So, but yeah, you opened up. DT opened up a whole ball of wax when he told me about that, and I actually forgot about it. So yeah, there's going to be some. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of eyes on this.
So they played each other 4 times this season?
Yes, this will be the 4th time, yes.
4th time. What's the standing? What's the record?
Sandy Creek has won all 4 of them.
Well, all
3. I mean, all 3. They've won all 3 previous ones.
Yeah.
So they won twice in the regular season, and then they won in the region championship. But remember, that region only had 4 teams, and 3 of the 4 made it to the Final Four. The other team got in the state, I think, as the first team ever with 0 wins. But so that region has proven its strength in 3A. And Coach Nickerson has done an outstanding job with Sandy Creek. And they got pieces. And Sandy Creek, let's be honest, they're on the clock. They're due. So Cedar Grove's got a tall task. I think Sandy Creek has a little bit more. But Manny Green and Jalen Aside and EJ Colston are not going to go down without a fight.
No, they're not. And let me just go ahead and say it, Coach Nickerson, when you happen to watch this, my apologies, I hadn't had a chance to see you this year. But either way, I know what you do as a staff, as a coach with your program, having had a chance to see Cedar Grove at the Georgia Interstate Classic, got a chance to see Manny Green and what that staff is doing. And I'm not surprised they're in this position. I'm not surprised. And it's, as you said, Sandy Creek is due, but the youthfulness and, again, trying to beat someone the 4th time may be a little difficult, a little bit difficult. And I think, and I actually happened to see when you guys mentioned, I saw it earlier today or earlier this week, once both teams won, that they mentioned the football, rematch, and when I say they mentioned it, not the teams, not any team account, but obviously fans who are associated with them. But I really like, while Sandy Creek is due, I'm gonna go with Cedar Grove on this one.
Sandy Creek should win, but I've seen that knit and grit and fight from Cedar Grove, especially after losses. I've got to see them 3 times this year. They played very well in the game, and then they came and they pushed Etowah very, very tough. But they've seen to trip up in spots, and they tripped up against Douglas, and that was a closely contested game. I think Sandy Creek is deeper. Micah Smith has shown himself to be asserting himself defensively. PJ Green is doing a very good job. Amari is doing a good job. Vic Newsom kind of leads them in his very, very charismatic way and his very efficient way. I don't know if Cedar Grove has enough. I'm not going to be surprised if Cedar Grove wins this basketball game, and I'm not going to be surprised if Manny Green has a lot to do with it, or Jalen Aside, or EJ Colston. They play very well, and Manny is putting up double numbers and being very effective, playing good defense. Quiet nights in the playoffs. Had a quiet night in the first round, but was very effective. They got pushed by Long County. Cedar Grove has been pushed enough now to where you're playing a familiar foe, where I'm not going to be surprised if they win the ball game. Sandy Creek has more. Sandy Creek should win the basketball game, but I think it's going to be one of those things where if Sandy Creek walks in the gym and sees Cedar Grove on the other side, or we've beaten these guys 3 times, that might be opening up a Pandora's box they might not want to. But I think Sandy Creek has more. I'm not going to be surprised if Cedar Grove does it. And playing in that gym might have a little bit to do with it, because Cedar Grove is accustomed to playing, where you got to do what you got to do.
Well, and that's the one thing that why, I mentioned about possibly Cedar Grove is, again, beating a team a 4th time is not easy. And especially when you're trying to deal with the psyche of teenagers, no matter how much a coach prepares, the thing about it, they're kids, they're young people. and they're going to look over and be like, yo, we've done this before. And if they don't react, let's say Cedar Grove comes out and drops some heavy haymakers early, and Sandy Creek doesn't react quickly enough, again, it could go that they end up, as you mentioned earlier with the previous classifications, that Cedar Groves, and it could end up winning.
Now, you know what? You make a great point there, because if Cedar Grove makes Sandy Creek play from behind for the majority of the game, 2-3 possessions, that could be advantageous. That's an excellent point there.
Wow. So I didn't see Alfonso saying giving it to Cedar Grove, but I understand his viewpoint when he's saying trying to beat him for the fourth time. And especially as a coach, you got to make some huge adjustment, because you lost one. Okay, you lost that one. You lost two. Okay, two. Okay, let's get them the third time. The third time you lose again. So that fourth one, you don't want that fourth one on your record. And it's the one that really counts more than anything. It's a state championship, and you really want it. So I think, definitely coach got to make some adjustments to, pull out that. Don't want to be 0-4, and you want to win this one. Because the other three, you lost them, but this one that counts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 of your 9 losses have been to Sandy Creek.
Yeah.
And be honest, as a coach, if I'm a coach, if I could win this next one, I don't care about the first 3. You can have the first 3. I got the one that counts.
Nobody gonna remember the previous 3.
Oh, definitely not. They not gonna remember. Nobody say, "Oh man, but we beat y'all 3 times during the season." But who won the championship? That's you can have that all the time. But I got the championship, so that's what matters to me. Now, if he lose the fourth one, then it's kind of like, we got your number. But it's like it's gonna be a great game, and just hopefully it's not a repeat of what happened during the football championship. We just don't want that repeat. We want a very good game between these two.
Yeah, don't put that in the air, because the state finals is different. It's different.
Yeah, right. All right, let's move on to 2A. We have number 1 Providence Christian 26-4 versus number 1 Westside Augusta 24-7. I'll start with you on this one first, Alfonso.
Westside Augusta has one of the more talented players in the state, in Kalon Hudson. He's been putting up sensational numbers. He's been doing this since in the summertime when I seen him playing with the Southern Kings, and he's had tremendous success, and he's carried it over into the season. He's a tremendous X factor in this game who's going to make a significant difference. Another thing is he's played in stages where this opportunity, this moment isn't going to be necessarily too big for him. And the one thing that and not having seen, and again, I'll be honest with you, I don't get a chance to get out to other different things because I have some obligations throughout the year that keep me from attending a lot more games like I'd like. But I know with Providence, they do a great job just because of what traditionally they've been. So I can't really speak on them as a team, but I know Kalon Hudson is going to be a young man who's on a mission to bring a title back to Augusta.
I'm glad you brought up Hudson. You left Ewing to me, because Jalen Ewing is that man. Okay,
he is.
Jalen Ewing is that dude. And between Ewing and Hudson, it'll be very interesting, especially how Coach Hunter. It'll be very interesting to see how Coach Hunter manufactures this. Coach Thacker on the other side. Listen, they might be ready to name the gym after him because of what he's done with the Providence Storm, and he has done an absolutely fabulous job, got back into coaching, and now he has Providence where they've never been before, the Final Four and in the state finals. Sam Thacker has played very well, shoots the ball very well. They've got enough pieces to throw at you, and what West Side Augusta can throw at Providence has seen a little bit of that with Spencer. The difference is, I think the neutral location and that gym may make a difference. This game is going to be very, very good, but this game is going to come down to, and this is not cliche, of who doesn't make as many turnovers. Here's the key in this ball game. Providence cannot allow Westside Augusta to get multiple live ball turnovers and turn them into transition points on the break. If they do, it's over, because they play well enough defense where if they start getting live ball turnovers and they start outrunning you on the wings and getting easy deuces, you have to now think about what defense they're going to switch up. You start pressing a little bit. So ball security and not having live ball turnovers that lead directly to transition fast break points is going to be key for Providence Christian in this game. And Coach Thacker is going to work some things out, do what they do. They've played a very solid schedule. They had losses to Mount Bethel, Berkmar, Banks County, and Union County. Now, a lot of people might not know about a lot of those teams, but those were playoff teams. The Berkmar win, that was kind of a rival there, but quality wins over 7A Denmark, over 7A Mill Creek, and then a quality win over Athens Christian. But that's prior to the state tournament. The Spencer win really showed me something. I like this Providence team. Them and Westside Augusta is going to be very, very fun.
And the fact that they were able to pick up a very good win against a solid North Cobb Christian team, because to continue advancing, though that North Cobb Christian team was poised to have a solid run this year themselves, and they ran into a buzzsaw that we like to call Providence Christian right now. Which one thing I need to ask the Providence Christian community: what are you guys waiting for on naming the building?
Yes, Coach, it needs to be Thacker Gymnasium.
Yeah, and I'm just. This is not anything. I'm not trying to play hyperbole, not trying to cause any issues, but this is something that should have been done already. So, with that, Coach, again, I wish you the best of luck. And because I'm familiar, I like we'll go in familiarity, I'll take Ewing and Hudson.
Yeah, I think Westside Augusta, I think they have too much. It'll be key. What will Dunn, McLean, and Malcolm and Cam Carrillo, there are enough things there for Providence Christian, but will they each be able to do that against this Westside Augusta team, which I think is just a tad bit better than them, but it'll be a very, very interesting ball game. I don't see either team kind of pulling away in this one.
No.
But if Providence Christian, if they're able to be efficient offensively, stay sound defensively, work the clock in good situations, score before Westside defense sets up, and neutralize Hudson and Ewing, it could be very interesting.
So who you getting a slight edge to?
Westside Augusta has a slight edge. But Providence Christian, look, I watched the tape again the day of the Spencer game. Westside Augusta is better than Spencer, but Spencer's no slouch. That was impressive what Providence Christian did. That was at home, so you're supposed to take care of home court. This is neutral, and trust me, Augusta, Richmond County, they coming. They're coming.
Alfonso, who you giving a slight edge to?
Augusta, Westside Augusta.
Oh, Westside Augusta, cover both. Okay, y'all agree on that. All right, let's move down to 1A, which is D1, I guess. We got number 2, Mount Pisgah, 23-8 versus number 4, Kings Ridge, 22-10. And just to note, King Ridge is the lowest seed that's in the state playoffs this year. So that's pretty interesting. Number 4 seed made it this far.
Yeah, the only number 4 seed in the title game, and the only double-digit loss team in all of the classifications. But I will defer this to Fonzo. It's no surprise because of the region.
No, well, I mean, we can get into semantics on why they divided this like 2 10s in a hand of 21. But
there were 6 teams in that region that should have been in the playoffs.
No, absolutely. And like I said, we ended up splitting them like 2 hands of 21. And the one thing that I just find interesting, Kings Ridge, they're familiar, not Kings Ridge, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is Kings Ridge. They're familiar, they've competed and played, and they reached, I believe, the Final Four last year.
No, they were in the state championship game last year.
State champion, that's right.
So they're in the state championship game for the second time this season.
Correct. This year. I mean, the last 2 years. And they, Zach Thomas, You have a lot of those kids. You got leadership. You got experience. Coach does a good job, but you also Mount Pisgah is no slouch. You know what I mean? Like they have, and I'm drawing blanks because my screen just went down real quick. Okay, there we go.
You
You got
talking about
Micah
Michael
Tucker.
Tucker?
Yeah, Micah Tucker. You know, you have him being a major factor. And you got Will Jobe on the other side, who's a new addition to Kings Ridge. And he's going to, you know, he adds size in terms of length, and he has the ability to shoot the ball from the perimeter. I'll be honest with you, as a number 4 seed, and easily these two teams could have played each other right around the corner. They're virtually right down the road from each other. I think the intangibles when it comes to it is the shooting and the poise of Kings Ridge is going to keep them in this game. Because as you mentioned, I mean, this is a region that they got two teams in there, you know, and they were able to get what we want out of it. And I just feel that Kings Ridge, because of their experience and having been there before, you know, a path less traveled, you know, they might be able to pull this W out.
Kings Ridge is the one team that shot the basketball very well in Macon Coliseum with Isaac Martin. Michael Hoover, very active on the glass. Thomas is going to get you some baskets, and Coach Martin has his way of making things work when it's that time. Remember, they didn't lose. They've lost 10 games this year, but they never lost more than 2 in a row. And they played some heavy lifters in there. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if they're able to shoot the basketball that well. But I think the key for Kings Ridge is who and how are they going to defend Micah Tucker, and who are they going to make beat them for Mount Pisgah, not named Micah Tucker. I think those are the keys there for Kings Ridge.
So it sounds like y'all both got,
and yeah, we both got Kings Ridge. We both got Kings Ridge, and
you do.
Mount Pisgah. Well, I mean, I just said Kings Ridge.
I don't know. It's a toss up, man. If they defend Tucker well enough and make everybody else have to beat them in spots, and they shoot it well, Kings Ridge can win the basketball game. I think they have an advantage because even though they were region opponents, they only played one time this season.
Yes, and it was early back in December. You know how much has changed since December?
Yeah,
we've actually flipped the calendar since December.
Yeah, but I've also seen what Michael Tucker has done, and I've seen the intangible pieces that go. So I don't know. This one, if there's a push for me, it's this game. If there's a push for me, it's this game. I know what Kings Ridge has to do to win. Put it that way.
And I'm sure they do too. So that's why I'm trying. You know, so that's why, you know, again, I'll go out on the limb and get my neck cut if it doesn't work, you know, but I'll take Kings Ridge.
Gotcha. Okay. Joel didn't seem like Joel's expression was saying something different, but
I'm a push, man. I really don't know which way to go with this one. I don't. If William Joel plays well and Hoover play well, and do they go inside and out? No, their defense and how they defend Tucker, that's going to be the key to the game for me. Are they going to let him get off and make everybody else beat him, or are they going to zero in on him? And how they defend Tucker to me is going to be the most important part. I can't get away. Defense is going to win in this one. They shot the lights out last year. That didn't get them to win. Their defense is going to have to give them a win.
Gotcha. All right. Last but certainly not least, we have 1A, which is D2. Oh, at 1A, which is D1. We got number 1, Charlton. Is it Charlton? Am I pronouncing Charlton County?
Charlton County, yep.
Charlton 29-2 versus number 1 Wilkinson County 24-6. Supposed to be seeing my other team in this, but unfortunately,
who's your other team? Wait a minute.
Who the other team?
What the team I want to see? I want to see Green Forest, but you know that just me.
Oh,
I got people. I got kind of some ties to Green Forest, but
No, but listen, let's touch on that real quick. Let's just I'll say this. We all wanted to see Green Forest because we all anticipated Green Forest to be there. Okay. I mean, maybe one or two people might not have expected that to happen, but it's not because they saw Charlton beating them in the playoffs. Let's just be realistic about it. Because
outside of Charlton
we
County and South Georgia, no.
no question, no question. But anybody who actually has been paying attention to basketball throughout the entire year and is not looking at it through biased lens, we all knew that Green Forest had the tools, okay, and their staff knew they had the tools. But sometimes things happen in playoffs. Again, we're talking about kids who, no matter what you tell them, sometimes they'll buy into that, sometimes they'll believe, and no matter what they read or see, they're going to think the opposite sometimes. And especially if they feel that they're being doubted upon. Nobody really has paid attention throughout the year. And this is, again, no disrespect to a 29-2 record Charlton County team. But everyone, if you look at Charlton County 29-2, you look at Green Forest 29-2, if they would have had the same record, people would still have expected. Totally no, I know, but people still would have expected, again, Green Forest to go win it. Okay. And Green Forest played a schedule that was heavy. And
it's always been heavy.
No, and again, I'm not.
They're 20-9. It's still stronger than Charlton County's 29-2. And Charlton County's got some good players, and Charlton County just happened to win the basketball game the way they did. And it's not a knock on Green Forest, and it's not a knock on Charlton County. That was a very, very defensive game. And if you don't have appreciation for basketball, no point in the game did Green Forest disrespect Charlton or not respect them.
Right.
They did not. And that game was highly defended, highly contested, and one of the better shooters in the state made a shot off the glass.
That we're talking about a 50-50 shot. You know what I mean? Kid throws it in the air. Or when I say throw it, anytime you put it in the air, it's a 50-50 chance of it going in. And he knocked it down. Like you said, the bank was open on the weekend, and the kid knocked it down. There's nothing to take away from Charlton County, and there's nothing to really take away from Green Forest. They like you said, it was a defensive game, and those kids had enough grit to pull that game out. And when I say those kids, I'm talking about Jarvis Wright, one of the best shooters in the state.
Very good shooter.
And for those people who I know have never watched a single second of them in person, let alone in video, he shoots the ball so well. And again, I saw him during the Independent Hoops tip-off classic this summer that they just kept telling me, Fonz, this kid could shoot it. And usually when someone tells me that, I still got to see it for myself. And when I watched him just shoot it fearlessly, I was like, impressive. And I'm going to pronounce his first name incorrectly, and I'm going to try my best to improve it. Ulysses Williams. He's a sophomore. 6'9", tight end prospect. He's a grown man. So I know that, and I know he didn't look at Toll and DK and say, oh, well, I'm intimidated by those guys. No, sir. No, sir.
Not like a lot of people are that don't want to play them.
Correct. And, and that's the thing. And those kids decided to say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and match up and play ball, and we're going to play basketball here. So I really like what they've done. It's great to see that they're getting to Macon to be able to, again, perform on a stage that the rest of the state, whoever's going to be there, is going to watch them play and excel. They're going to be on TV, and people are going to know who they are before it's all said and done, win or lose.
Yeah, in Charlton County, going for their first state title, Williams is good, Wright is good. Coach Bailey has, people been telling me about Charlton County for a while. I've been paying attention. They're in the state championship game. The Green Forest win was their biggest win on their schedule. Will they schedule better now that people know who they are? But they're not playing with somebody that ain't been there before now.
Right.
Because Wilkinson County got 10 of them things. So it's going to be a very interesting 1A Division I private game. It's going to be very interesting below the foul line. I think that's going to be very interesting. How Williams matches up with he comes off the bench, number 3. Name escapes me. Shoot. He plays very well. And then how Hill and Stanley play at the guard spot. That's going to be very interesting. The guard play and then the play below the foul line with the bigs is going to be very interesting because Wilkinson County has length. Maybe not all the height, but they're long, lanky, and it shows some athleticism. And they run good stuff offensively. I like the subtle horn actions that they run. I like some of their off-ball action that they run to utilize slashing and diving. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they're able to make those things work and how they defend against Charleston County.
And Travion Evans is that name that you was looking for.
Yes, thank you.
You know, who is always been exceptional, and I've watched.
It comes off the bench.
Yeah, he again, and sometimes people don't understand the value of that. Okay, and I'm gonna step a little bit off onto my box here and say this: when you get introduced as a starter in a game, people, that's for your family, your friends to applaud you for that moment. But as a coach, if they come off the bench and you play starter minutes and you make significant contribution to your team, that is the most time. That's probably the one time coaches really trust you the most. And if you finish ending out a game, a close game for that matter, okay, on a regular basis, that means that coach trusts you to come off the bench and bring that victory home, regardless of what level you're at. So if kids and parents would just understand that a little bit, that's how your development can be. Sometimes coming off the bench is not a bad thing.
Not at all. Not at all. And Wilkinson County, listen, here are their losses. Johnson, Savannah, Thompson, Portal, Manchester, Calhoun County. That's all state teams. Johnson, Savannah was a very good game. Wilkinson County, like I said, they've been here before. It's going to be very interesting. Charlton is hyped to be here. Wilkinson, okay, they haven't won a state title since 2018, but that community, that family that's passing on that lineage, they know what to do with Wilkinson County basketball.
And you said something right there is the fact that tradition is something that they understand. They understand that wearing that Wilco across your chest, it's not about you, the individual. And it's funny you mentioned about their schedule. They lost 3 in a row right around the first week of December. That was a bad week for them, you know. And but they were able to rattle off some victories and get going before they lost again in December to Manchester, and then got into Calhoun County and lost to them, but still managed to stay the course. Went undefeated in the region. Understand what it takes to not only get to Macon, they're at Macon. I'm not going to sit here and say it's their home away from home, but it's definitely a vacation home. Look, it's a vacation home they're familiar with.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of blue and gold in there.
Listen, I'm going to go with that blue and gold, and I'm going to take Wilkinson just based on experience and familiarity of what is expected.
I'm gonna give Charlton a chance. I'm gonna step out and believe in them because that might be the most well-attended game. All of Charlton, all of Wilkinson County and Macon. That might bust the seams of the old Macon Coliseum. But I'm gonna roll with Charlton on this one because if they have flushed out the Green Forest win and can stay killed and do what they've been doing, I think they can beat Wilco. But Wilco is very dangerous. I'm taking Charlton County kind of on a, because I can't wait to see you next year. Can you schedule next year? So I want you to be a state champ scheduling. So that's why I'm going with Charlton. I want to believe in Wright and Williams for the future and see what they're able to do there in Charlton County going forward. And when you put a state championship there in that community that has a rich football history, it makes that basketball swell up now, and I kind of want to see if they're able to do that in Folkestone.
All right, so y'all split that one. Who y'all got taking that out? Okay, so we don't wrapped up we went over all the different championship game. And there's one thing I want to touch on real quick, and I'm trying to put it at the bottom of the screen because I want to. I did talk to. Okay, let me see if it's going. Okay, there we go. So it's something you posted, you tweeted about yesterday, and I agree with y'all both on this.
What I done tweeted now, man?
No, not you, not you. I'm talking about
Oh,
I'll
it's
take
not a tweet from me.
no.
no, sir.
Moving the state finals to Georgia State Arena instead of Macon. So, if I'm not mistaken, this was part of.
I'll take the floor on this.
Okay.
Joel, first of all, hinted to that in his last discussion when we was talking about Wilkinson and Charlton County, how basically that's going to be the best well-attended game possibly of all the games down in the Macon Coliseum, because both teams, one is excited to be there for the first time, the other one is accustomed to being there. They're familiar with that. Listen, everybody should be able to experience that. Okay. But if you didn't have a chance, go back and watch the games inside the convention center at Georgia State. The energy in there, even when I initially got there and posted a picture, and someone, it was the girls' game, Buford versus Norcross, and someone stated, "Hey, these kids deserve a better venue. It should be," I don't even know wherever they said it, right? And I go, a better venue than this? It just so happened to be the first game. People are still trying to just figure out where to go. If you've never been,
2:00 game.
and it's 2:00 game,
and there were people still going to the old GSU arena.
That was my point. If you type in Georgia State Arena, which is probably what 90% of people did, they were driving to the old spot. And when they realize it's not there, then they realize, okay, wait a minute, it's only less than a mile in the other direction, and be able to get there. It's the quality venue that once fans figured out where it's at, man, it was the energy, it was the excitement. The parking was easy, my friends. Parking was simple. Now, of course, like anything else of any big event, I don't care if you put it, the only difference where in Macon, you're able to get out quicker when it comes to parking. Because yes, there's 19 million different ways to get out of that parking lot because it's not full. All right. So yes, it is easy to get out of there. All right. It is easy to get in and out. Okay. Yes, Atlanta is going to be a little bit more traffic. I'm sure if they put some cops out there and people directing traffic, you could make that flow of traffic getting out of there a whole lot easier. But in terms of atmosphere, in terms of energy, this is a chance for these kids to play in a great facility. And look, go ahead and move it to Mercer University if you have to. And we all know
You're breaking up.
Yeah, I think you were breaking up a little bit, Alfonso.
mentioned based on that video I posted where you had the Cherokee fans swaying back and forth, and then you pan over and you see the Norcross fans swaying back and forth. Okay, that's the energy that they need to understand. And of course, people in Macon area and south of it, they're gonna get on me and be like, "Oh, not everything needs to be in Atlanta." I'm not saying it does. Okay. Okay.
Somebody
I don't
messing
know.
with Fonzo there.
I don't know what. Can
Yeah,
y'all still hear
somebody
me?
messing with you.
Yeah, somebody messed with your
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear
South
you.
Georgia, you made
I
South
started
Georgia
talking
man.
about Macon, and somebody from
Mac,
down there started messing with my wire connection.
Yep.
But just wanted to say, like, if you want to keep it in Macon, I don't have a problem with it because it's a cozier environment. Kids are gonna enjoy it, but it's all
Yep.
about, or if not, like I even mentioned to someone, Go ahead. Okay. If you want to keep it in the Macon Coliseum, look, I don't have control over that. But
Yep,
yeah,
they messing with him
so
again.
I keep talking about.
Yeah, I think they want you to stop talking.
Yeah, they want you to be quiet about that.
Hey,
I I get it,
Look,
and I'm going to.
I keep talking about.
yep. See
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah, I did. Like somebody
Yeah,
in the basement doing something.
Fonzo said it was an unpopular opinion.
Can y'all hear me
And
now on this?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Is
you
it
going
better?
in and out.
Yeah, when you stop talking about it, we can hear you.
All right. So all I'm saying is, let's give the kids the best atmosphere. Okay, I know. Okay, because we all have to work. There's a way to do it. Unfortunately, in this state, all I'm going to say is, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. They want me to shut up about it. I got it. Uh, I'll write it about. I'll write about it on baseline and sideline. I'll write it on baseline and sideline.
Gotcha. I've been one that I'm not against it in Macon. I talk about it's not a basketball facility. I understand it's in the middle of the state. But the first time I went into Georgia State Arena back for their first exhibition game, I knew how good of an arena it was. I never had went until I went into the game. West Georgia has a nice arena. Fort Valley has a nice arena. Even the arena down at Georgia College is nice. Valdosta State's arena is
Joel,
nice.
you good now?
Yeah, I'm good. Can you hear me, DT?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, you the one on the low back there. So there are other good collegiate arenas around, but I think what we're talking about is atmospheres and attendance. And there's some very good basketball in South Georgia. There's some very good basketball players in
All right,
South
Macon,
Georgia.
I'm sorry. Stop connecting it.
I think we got a delay on him. That's what.
Yeah, we got a delay on him. Yeah, but I think that when we look at where the concentration of the basketball fan is, the casual Wheeler fan is not going to Macon this weekend to see Cherokee. They're not. Okay. The casual Pace fan is not going to Pace. What you do when you play high-level basketball games where the basketball people are, that casual fan, that fan that doesn't have invested interest in either one of those teams, they're more likely to come when they know it's at a good facility or a good matchup and it's not far away. That's the basketball community. There's no right or wrong way to fix it. I know at times the lower classifications played in Macon for a couple of years, and then they played it at Georgia Tech, and then they played it at Georgia that couple of years. GHSA, I'm just going to say this, they're not moving it out of Macon. The semifinals is probably where you're going to get it. Georgia State is absolutely great. They play football there. That's enough for South Georgia. And listen, South Georgia is a great state. South Georgia has its land, its agriculture, its history. It feels its way. The northern part is more metro. I saw somebody make a comment why the state championship should be played in the state capital. Okay, I get you on that. It's going to stay in Macon. It should move. It could move, but West Georgia has good facility. I know they played at North Georgia for a little while. I think they played at either Shorter or Berry one time. Not familiar with the year that they did that, but there are good venues in and around. But the like, here's what I would say: 6A, 5A, and 6A were in West Georgia this year. No, 6A and 7A. 6A should have been Friday at Georgia State, and 7A should have been Saturday at Georgia State. That's how that should have been. Fort Valley has always been a good facility for them. West Georgia is a good facility. I like that. And the Milledgeville facility, I'm going through the facilities that they've used. They're all good, but Georgia State's new. It brought people out who had not seen it, and then to be able to see the intimacy of it. It's a wonderful arena. Georgia State did a great job there. but it's more about basketball fans that don't have the vested interest in getting them to the ball games. And I think that's what, when you look at it demographically, the casual basketball fan most likely to come out to a ball game that they don't have a vested interest in either team is in the metro Atlanta area.
And actually, I want to add another facility that I don't think enough people know about. University of North Georgia in Dahlonega has a fantastic facility that could be used as well.
They used that one year for 1A private. They sure did. Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, it was a great show. We touched on all the championship games coming up this weekend. It seemed like it's going to be a very exciting weekend. I know Isaiah want to go out with a championship his senior year, to top it off, which I think to me, he's one of the most fantastic players in the state to watch. I watched him. I've been watching him for the last few years, so kudos to him.
He's a phenomenal player. But look, we're not gonna let you get out of here. So who do you have in 7A? We see. I hedged all of mine, by the way, because I don't have time for that. Fonzo can deal with that. But who do you like, Wheeler or Cherokee in 7A?
I got Wheeler. I told nobody I wasn't going to beat Wheeler. I didn't even think Grayson. Me personally, I didn't think Grayson had a chance. People thought Grayson. I didn't think Grayson. I said, you're not beating Isaiah. Isaiah wants that ring. He wants that championship senior. He's going to leave everything on the court, even if he had to do everything by himself. So I told everybody, I didn't think Grayson had a chance. People said they have a chance. I said, I didn't. That's just me. I didn't think they had a chance to beat Wheeler.
6A, Lee County or Alexander? Who you got?
Listen to y'all talk about and discuss it. I'm going to go with Alexander.
In 5A, Eagles Landing or Kale?
This all depending on, to me, I feel like how Peyton plays. And like if he get tired too quick, get in foul trouble. But I've been watching Eagles Landing and this a lot. I've seen a lot of highlights of them and I like the way they play. So I'm gonna go with Eagles Landing by a small margin.
In 4A, Pace or Fayette County?
I'm gonna go with Pace. I like Pace. I was surprised they didn't win the region. I was really shocked when I seen that they Love it actually took it, but I think it still should have been Pace. Pace should have pulled that out, but it's any given Sunday. I always tell everybody sometimes any given Sunday you may supposed to win, but you never know what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna give Pace. They may didn't win region, but they go win state.
What about in 3A, Sandy Creek, Cedar Grove?
I want City Grove to get their revenge for what happened to them at the state football. So
you mean Cedar Grove?
Huh?
You mean Cedar Grove? You want them to get revenge?
Yeah, because City Grove, because if I'm not mistaken, Sandy Creek won football state, so I want City Grove to get their revenge and win state.
In 2A, Providence Christian or Westside Augusta?
I'm gonna go with Providence on that.
In Division 1, well, 1A Division 1, Kings Ridge or Mount Pisgah?
I'm gonna go with Kings. I'm gonna go with Kings Ridge.
And in Division 2, Wilkinson County and Charlton County?
They beat Green Forest. They better win state. That's all I gotta say.
Now you can get some of that heat, man. Fonzo, I had to get that up out of him. He thought he was gonna scot free without that, but he wasn't getting away with that.
They better win. If they don't win, I'm gonna be very upset because they beat Green Forest, so you better win state.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna say this. I know Green Forest was supposed to win the state and they didn't, but it was not an unforgivable sin. So if Charlton County doesn't win, it won't be an unforgivable sin.
All right, gentlemen, it was a great show. Before we go, Joel, I'm gonna let you tell everybody if they don't know, with everybody know how they can follow you, what upcoming projects you got going on, anything you want anybody to know. So, Joel, I'm gonna let you.
Well, man, thank you. It's at J Hillsman on Twitter, and then of course, totalsportscoverage.com and the Hillsman Heavy. Got the state tournament updates, the quick hitters, and then we'll have the finals updates and recaps as well. And then the final Hillsman Heavy will hit next Tuesday after the season. And upcoming projects, man. It's time to start poking my head around in some AAU gyms. Another trip up to DC, so we're doing some work there and in gyms there. So I'll be around, but at J Hillsman.
I also want to let everybody know Hillsman do be in the gym watching the games. He's just not reporting from what he say is. So I do want to give him that. He be in the gym. All right, Mr. Robert Alfonso, first time guest on my show. I hope you come back again. Tell everybody where they can follow you, which everybody should know how to follow you, but the ones who watching, tell them how they can follow you, what you got going on, any upcoming projects. Okay, we can't hear you. You got your mic muted.
You got your mic muted?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Look forward to the next invitation. I would thoroughly enjoy it.
Okay, you going in. Yeah, you
hold on.
We got a delay in your arm.
Baseline to sideline at BTS_report on Twitter. Because you started talking about making.
Yeah, making people got to your they miss.
Yeah, you started going in on that, man. You can't even go down there this weekend. I can't even go this weekend.
Yeah, you don't mess it up with making. They go when you come down there, they go ban. They gonna have a picture of you at the front door. Nope, not allowed in. Sorry, we heard what you said.
Oh, well, they told me that at Upson Lee one time, and I think the same is at McDonald. But it comes with the territory.
Do you know? Real quick, while here,
does.
The funny thing I'm gonna tell y'all, you saying that serious. Do you know at Madison Square Garden, they have the same thing. If you have ripped the Knicks, they actually ban you from coming to the game. Like they would literally have a picture of you.
Yeah, I mean you did. Yeah.
And the owner, what's his name? I forgot his name.
Dolan.
He don't play. You rip them apart, and they find out who you are. They get your picture. So if you come to any, you be banned from coming to Madison Square Garden. They got like that ID thing when you walk through, they see your face. They'll tell you not allowed in here.
Yep.
Look, he might as well just as a longtime Knicks fan, he might as well put me up there without me coming into the arena.
Oh, okay, guys.
Appreciate you, DT, man. It was fun, man. Thank you for having me, bro. It was fun.
It definitely was. So I really appreciate you, guys.
Thank you.
I hope to get you on next time. I look forward to a great state championships game this upcoming weekend. Y'all stay safe, guys. This is your boy DT. You are now watching DT's Unfiltered, Uncensored. You can follow me on all social media. All you gotta do is search DT_Unfiltered, Uncensored. Go to my Instagram, DT_Unfiltered, Uncensored. Go to my bio, click the link. That will give you all my contact information. You interested in booking me for any events, any showcases, anything going on, definitely hit me up. I'm open up for the month of March. Hopefully not soon. I'm finna find out. Hopefully I'll be booked all March. But hey, follow me, support me. You'll see me next time. Keep following me. And we are out. See you next time.
It's DT. You have just now listened to the most talked about podcast in the country. DT Unfiltered, Uncensored. Thank you for tuning in and see you next time. Damn. DT.